Away from Osun State to Ekiti State, the July 14 governorship election in that state draws near. The national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Uche Secondus, has appealed to the federal government and the Independent National Electoral Commission and all security agencies to do all in their powers to ensure a free, fair, and credible election. The PDP chairman described the Ekiti election as a litmus test for INEC and security agencies as it will test their preparedness for the 2019 general election. Seconders appealed to the federal government and the Independent National Electoral Commission that they should give a level playing field for all political parties in the polls. Well, a new report by the World Poverty Clock shows that Nigeria is overtaking India as a country with the most extreme poor people in the world. But the federal government has faulted the report. The Minister of Trade and Investment, Okechukwu Enalama, said the report does not reflect the situation in the country, insisting that the report may have been compiled when the country was in recession. Listen to him now.
When you get reports from Brookings Institute, all these sort of people, you need to look at the context. I mean, somebody may have written a report when we're in recession. There is absolutely no question that there is an urgency to create employment in Nigeria, and it has to be a collective responsibility. What I can tell you is that if you complete the things we're doing on infrastructure and you implement these reports we're doing, that's what I mean by a leading indicator. Poverty will go down. There's no magic to it.
Now, let's put this into perspective now. India has a population 7 times larger than Nigeria's. The report says 86.9 million Nigerians live in extreme poverty. That figure represents nearly 50% of the country's estimated 180 million population. Let's get some perspective on this and what this means for Nigeria. Joining us on the program tonight is a financial expert, Mr. Johnson Chukwu, joins us from Abuja. Thank you so much, Mr. Chukwu, for your time on the program. What does this mean for Nigeria, especially at a period where a lot of people think maybe the economy is recovering, at a point in time where a lot of people think perhaps school children have been fed? What exactly would you say this report reflects in the situation of Nigeria? All right, we'll get Mr. Chukwu back as soon as we're able to sort out some of the technical issues there. But of course, some of the reactions that have followed the situation from the federal government saying, look, they are preparing and getting more jobs to take people out of poverty. They are looking at the issues, and perhaps the figures that are being shown in that report is perhaps not as fair as it should be. Perhaps let's go back to Mr. Chukwu now. Maybe we can get him. Okay, I understand now that we are unable to get him now. So, but let's continue. The Plateau State government has given the assurance that the medical bills of those injured during the Plateau attacks will be settled by the state government. He made the promise today during a visit to the Jos University Teaching Hospital, where some of the injured are being treated. The governor took time to go around the world to empathize with the injured and also wish them speedy and quick recovery from their injuries. And the Nigeria Governors Forum is planning to meet the service chiefs over the spate of killings in some parts of the country. After meeting behind closed doors that lasted over 5 hours, the chairman of the forum, Governor Abdulaziz Yari of Zamfara State, told journalists that the forum condemns the killings and wants action to be taken on the matter.
The forum strongly condemns the recent attack in Plateau State and the spread of the insecurity in the country. Members commiserate with the government and people of Plateau State and other states, including the victims who were caught in the transit traveling on and from neighboring states. Governors unanimously call for the prosecution of perpetrators of the attack and the resolve to find a quick and common solution to the security crisis in the country. The forum resolved to pay the consular visit to the Plateau State to commiserate with the government and the people of Plateau State. Governors resolved to hold one-day meeting with the security chiefs to come up with the holistic solution to the country's security situation.
Well, then let's talk about this poverty report. Mr. Johnson Chukwu, a financial expert, is with us on the program tonight. Mr. Chukwu, many thanks for your time on the program today. I guess we are able to have you now. What do you make of that report and the response of the federal government?
Well, I think for me, it's a wake-up call for the country. I do not think what the government needs to do is to dispute the figure. I think that's a clear report card. We've known that the poverty level has been increasing. Of course, if you know that, simple economics, if your population is growing at above your GDP growth rate, your economic growth rates, certainly the level of poverty will keep worsening. We've seen in the past 2 years that our GDP is growing last year, the GDP grew about 0.83%. Currently, the first quarter, we had a GDP growth rate of 1.95%, and the population is growing at close to 3%. So it is no-brainer that our level of poverty will keep worsening. But if you actually want to put it in proper context, the fact that we are now the country with the largest number of people in abject poverty does not really pass the message. You have to look at the proportion of the population that is in poverty. For instance, India has a population of 1.3 billion. 73 million of that are in poverty. That is only 5.5% of the Indian population. Ours, we are a population of 192 million, and the number of people that are in abject poverty is 87 million. That is 45% of the population. In fact, almost half of the Nigerian population is living in abject poverty. That should be a wake-up call for the government. It's not for us to dispute whether it's true or not. The fact that you know that the economy is growing at a slower rate than the population growth rate, it is certain that when you divide the value of goods and services produced in a country by the population, that the average number will keep worsening or coming down. If you cast your mind back, in 2014, we had a GDP per capita income of about $3,560. That is, if you divide the value of goods and services produced in this country by the number of heads or by the population, you have about $3,560. Today, you have about $1,660. That is if you take the average. Not talk of when you look at uneven distribution of income.
Mr. Chukwu, the picture being painted in this report looks to be very confusing, and perhaps I would say that against what the government is doing, considering feeding of school children, the jobs the government says is providing in some sectors of the economy. But if you look deeper into that report, it did say that 6 Nigerians are becoming poor every minute. And in 2016, the Bureau of Statistics had said that no fewer than 112 million Nigerians live below the poverty line. So tell us, with what the federal government is doing now and this report, is the federal government on the right track in getting Nigerians out of poverty?
Well, what I would say that what the government is doing is largely palliatives. To get Nigerians out of poverty, we need to create an economy that will create jobs. Giving children food once or twice in a day is a form of palliative, but does not solve the fundamental poverty of the family. The family is the center of households, and it is when the parents have reasonable level of income that they can sustain a reasonable standard of living for the children. Otherwise, the food we are giving, yes, it helps in relieving them of hunger, but it doesn't solve the fact that the parents are unable to live in decent homes. It doesn't solve the fact that the parents are unable to clothe the children very well. It doesn't solve the fact that the parents are unable to provide them basic medical facilities when they're sick.
Mr. Chukwu, just in 30 seconds, because I would like you to just hit the nail on the head right now. What is more worrisome is perhaps what they say that by the end of 2018 in Africa as a whole, there will probably be about 3.2 million more people living in extreme poverty than there are today. In 30 seconds, what is the urgent thing that Nigeria must do to stop this rising trend?
We need to restore economic growth rate at above at least the population growth rate. So we need to build infrastructure. We need to create a right policy environment that will encourage people to go into productive economic activities and generate jobs for the teeming population masses of this country.
Mr. Johnson Chukwu, many thanks for your thoughts there on the program. But we'll take a moment on the program, and when we come back, we will try to break down the security situation in Nigeria, looking at the plateau issue and some of the reactions coming on whether or not the security chiefs should go. That's next on the program, everyone. Join us again.